Well, here we are, another week. Actually, it could actually be our last Wednesday preview show of the season.
Very well could be, mate. I'm jetting off to the promised land, some say, of the US of A, next Tuesday. So, yeah, literally just before we usually record. So just missing out on the final Group 1 of the season, unfortunately. But we all make sacrifices, right?
I think we both know who we're probably going to be backing in that race anyway.
I have a strong suspicion that we'll be back in the same horse.
And before we get into the thick of it here, Drifters, my apologies for the audio quality for our very award-winning stuff, our award-winning review podcast on a Sunday. Fair to say that, you know, we were confident that we'd get the job done, which I think we did. It's just like you probably couldn't hear us that well.
Yeah, certainly. I think despite the fact that we had a belly full of piss after entertaining some clients all day at the track, you know, I think we were relatively coherent. Like, I haven't had the chance to... I gave it a quick listen for like 5 minutes just to see what the audio was actually like. And we were actually, you know, we were fine. We were pretty coherent.
It was fine, you know.
It was an enormous weekend for yours truly. Like, I was a defeated man on Sunday. I sort of woke up early and went back to sleep. Like, slept half a day. I was just defeated, man.
Yeah,
Defeated. I spent all my petrol tickets.
Okay, all right. Oh, I was like, I wasn't that bad, but I forgot that you had a big Friday night.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You're having beers with billionaires.
I was literally having beers with billionaires.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, when you're on the rich list in Australia. Yeah, shout out to you, Brian. Nice guy, really nice guy, down to earth. Yeah, Group 1 winning owner. First horse he owned was Manzois. So.
Manzois or Militarised?
Manzois.
Okay, all right. I think you were saying Militarised on Saturday.
Was I?
I think so.
You know, I got my wires crossed, but still, like, first horse is a Group 1 winner.
That's true.
Just like a good friend of the podcast, Needs to Be Racing. He's the very first proper horse he owned, Celino, won a Group 1. He just won a Group 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Easy for some.
Look,
Mint Condition will win a Group 1.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. What have they got down in Adelaide? She should win one of them.
Sangster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon she'd be a good 1,400 metre horse.
Yeah. Eventually.
Yeah.
So Drifters, will be honest, there's not a hell of a lot of racing this weekend that we're going to dive into, but there is a few listed races at Ipswich. The Ipswich Cup meeting, which is always got a very close place in my heart. One of the great race days of all time. I actually just remembered a really funny story from the last time I was there, right? So, get tickets there through Channel 7, as you do through like media agency.
Yeah, we don't really usually pay for tickets anywhere, do we?
No.
We're not really the type.
No. And on this specific instance, I was trying to get like a quaddie for probably 10 people, right? $20 each. And no one had any idea what I was asking them. I was like, all right, guys, basically, we're going to have a group bet. You don't have to participate if you don't want. It's a bit of fun. You basically pick a horse in each race. And I was encouraging them. It's like, don't share your tips. So let's just like, whatever comes in, you know. Anyway, I think after I got all these, you'll understand how long this took me.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Our combinations were about 1,200 after collecting it for like 10 people. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And we lose the first leg. And I was looking at our ticket. I'm like, I think we had 7 of the 9 runners in it. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. And I go to James, friend of the podcast, James Rose. I'm like, mate, do you have that? He's like, yeah, of course. I was like, why? What won it? He's like, the favourite one. You always put the favourite in the first leg of the quaddie. I was like, oh. So we had 7 horses, not even the favourite.
Well, whose fault is that? The buck stops with you, mate.
True. But, you know, at this point, I was like, I'm not even going to include the ones I like because we have 1,200 combinations.
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's no point. If you're putting on a quaddie and you need $1,200 to get 100%, there's literally no point.
No.
But for the fun part of it, like, yeah, I've learnt my lesson with that too because I've done that for work people before. Put on a quaddie, and we actually won the quaddie. It was down in Sydney on a Friday. They were racing on the Kenzo at Randwick on the Friday. We won the quaddie, and I picked something in the first that was paying $30.
30.
Oh mate, I was arrogant. And the quaddie, after we all divvied it up, it actually ended up being like a few $100 each off like a $20 buy, which isn't too bad.
That's
but it was like a $30 thing, like an $8 thing. Like it had to be juicy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was a waste of time. But I've learnt my lesson with that. Like, if there's ever horse racing shenanigans going on in the workplace, or if you're with a really big group of people, like. And I'm sure you probably experience the same. I'm sure a lot of the drifters experience the same thing as probably the learned horse people within that group. Like people are seeking your advice, and people are looking for some guidance and leadership. I shirk away from those things. I'm not interested because if someone asks me, "Oh, what do you like in the next?" It's just like, well, it's irrelevant what I like because it doesn't mean it's gonna win. You're better off looking at the silks of the jockeys, finding your favourite colour, and having a bet. So, yeah, love the podcast, but it's a double-edged sword because it's led to some notoriety.
Yeah.
Notoriousness? Notoriety. I can't say that word.
I don't know. I know what you mean, though. I've had a bit of that. It's like...
We're famous.
We experienced that in the DMs on Saturday night. That was some strange communication.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Jeez. What sort of gear is that? And where can I find some? Because not on planet Earth. Gee whiz.
Wanting some hurdle tips from in the UK. It's like, mate, if you get to that stage of the night, you need to put it away. You need to get to bed and move on.
Yeah. All jokes aside, hope you're okay wherever you are.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
Mate, so what we also wanted to do is, because this is like one of the final, probably the second last podcast of the season, is do a little bit of like a review of the winter, the late autumn, to see like, you know, let's give out some awards. Let's do some positive stuff. So I thought it would be good to start with like the ride of the winter. Who do you think gave the best ride of the winter, you know, of the last few months?
Mate, of the winter, the old fella bringing out some vintage Ollie work on Amakura in the Oaks. That was a fantastic ride.
It was easily the best ride. Because how many Oaks has Ollie ridden in, right?
1,000.
And he just goes like, all right, this is when they fan, and this is when I'm going to steal about 6 lengths.
Yeah. He stole that race through a fantastic ride. He had the engine under him, but if he swapped places with a Ferris Sweaver, I know which horse is winning. So that just goes to show as a masterful ride. Do you know what was a fantastic ride? Our guy piping hot Nash on Salino in the Brisbane Cup. That was a fantastic ride.
Yeah, close second.
Yeah. He was like, sheesh, you've got a big steam train under me. I need to start, smoking up this engine about 1,200 out.
Choo-choo.
Yeah.
Because it was actually good on that Saturday night review podcast. Like that was like the most enjoyable race I kept watching. I was like, Nash has got this thing going from like 800 out, and within seconds he was up on speed, and I was like, oh my goodness, he's giving this thing every chance.
Yeah. As soon as he met the lead down the straight, watching it live, I was like, see he is.
Yeah.
Because that horse is running a strong 3,200 metres.
Yeah. He's gone for a light jog, Salino.
100%. So that was a 2 for me. Would you tend to agree?
Oh, yeah. like the one I had written down was Amakura.
Yeah.
Like with Ollie. So
Well
and
found by you, well found by the podcast.
credit where credit's due, mate, because Ollie has been abysmal for about the last 12 months, and it's good to see him, get one back.
I feel like he's been there or thereabouts, Ollie, but mostly thereabouts rather than there. Like, he's had so many placings, I feel. Stats probably don't even say that, to be honest, but he's been close, yet no cigar. But he's probably just not getting the top rides, right?
Benny Mellum returning has probably taken a lot of his Godolphin rides from him, but then he probably gets a lot more of like the Jamie Carr rides in Melbourne. So it's hard to say. I haven't really been following the Melbourne racing too closely of late. I just follow where the good horses are. You know what I mean? The training performance of the last few months. Did you have any that really stood out to you? There's a number that come to mind, but and this one's a little bit left field. I think Cascadian, because he didn't really feature in the winter, but the fact that this guy was so hard to find for the first however many years of his career, James Cummings, I think's managed to find a lot of consistency with him, particularly because he's only really running in Group 1s and Group 2s, right? Yeah. Oh, well, what did we say? He's had about 50 starts and half of them at Group 1 level.
Yeah, exactly. So a little bit left of field, but what did he run, second or third in an all-aged? We ran third, behind Zaki. But that was jumping back from like 1,600 metres or 2,000 metres or something.
He won the Australia Cup.
Yeah, over 2,000 metres.
And he's just been there. I think, what did he run in the... what did he run third in All-Star Mile, maybe?
Yeah.
Like absolutely rattling home at Moonee Valley, which apparently he hates.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. And
he's a rising 8-year-old now. I think he'll be 8 in the spring. I think he could jag another Group 1 before it's all said and done.
Champion Stakes or something at Flemington. Yeah, absolutely. And especially because he used to be the type of horse that he needs given the ground, but I think he's even proven as he's got ripe with age that you can trust him on basically anything.
Yeah. And you're always going to get a bit of a decent price about Cascadian because he does place a lot. Yeah, but there's just the consistency to actually trust that he's going to run up to his potential each race has certainly changed in the last few months. So that's a hell of a training performance with Noel Gelding.
I have two. First one, the silver placing for me is Zaki. So Zaki to win another Hollandale, and because looking at his trials and his track gallops earlier this year, he looked done. Like he just looked completely uninterested. Annabelle Nation's put him out for a few months. She's got him back, running second in all age, as you mentioned, behind the very fast Giga Kick, who won another Group 1 after that.
He's fast.
And then he's won, a third or fourth or fifth Hollandale in the process.
I think it was his 10th.
Yeah. Things didn't go his way in the Doom Cup, but he started a bloody $2 favourite,
Yeah.
So I think that was a sensational training performance, but the clear top place for me is King Colorado winning the JJ. Now, I'll tell you why. There's only been 2 horses in history winning a maiden race and then jumping up to a Group 1. The last one to do it was Eldorado Dreaming.
Oh, years ago.
Yeah.
Where were we?
So
King Colorado, Eldorado. That's bizarre. Coincidence that.
So obviously horses win their maiden race, but it's better than a maiden class field. So it's like a stakes race or something in the case of
Seamus Award.
Yeah, exactly. So he I think the comparison is like a maiden now in the sticks to a Group 1 victory. I think it's only happened twice. And he's the second one. So Mar Eustace have done an outstanding job, and so has the market finding this thing. But it's really interesting. So friend of this podcast, Dan O'Sullivan, with his ratings, basically said that this horse has, he's only rated 97 on the day, right? Which is Rothfire rated through the roof. But That's the exact same rating as the Autumn Sun when he won it
Unbelievable, yeah.
at the same amount of starts. So I think the Autumn Sun did it at his second or third start. This horse did the exact same thing. So it's like, geez, this horse could actually be pretty
Really,
decent.
really, really good
Really
3-year-old.
good.
You'd think so, yeah, to do that at his however many starts. Yeah, 100%. No, yeah, well found by you. Well found by the market, like you said. I couldn't believe that.
Mate, can I catch a break, please?
Yeah, look,
The amount of haircuts I'm taking on these Group 1 wins recently is...
significant.
And
yeah.
I can't afford any haircuts.
No, none of us can on this podcast.
I was $1,300 down in the Group 1 strategies. I'm only $300 back now.
Crawling back.
And the drifters are last now.
Crawling back to you. Yeah, the drifters are last. You guys suck. Yeah, no, well done. Look, obviously we're not the biggest Jack Pride guys, but think about it, mate.
Yeah.
Just so well placed. I think, and Joe would probably be the first to admit, he's like, there's some horse underneath this thing.
Mm.
So he's doing a lot himself because he just keeps stepping up and stepping up. But just to place him so well and basically say, yeah, this is his target. And I know he sort of chopped and changed a little bit in the media, but yeah, that's a hell of a training performance.
Yeah. Like to end the autumn preparation on a Group 3 victory, early season Group 3 victory, I think was the key to him. Put him away for 2 or 3 months and then let him furnish into this really hard like 1,400 meter sprinter, and mate, he was dominant in the Kingsford Smith and the Stradbroke. And like for the Stradbroke, mate, like you said, there was all those stats in the week of it that, you know, not many favourites win the Stradbroke. I think the last one was Trekking as a $7 equal favourite, and he's, you know, and there was some drifting on the day, about $3.50, but he's still favourite on the day. Like I think he's going to be there or thereabouts in, you know, the quality sprinting races in the future.
Yeah, I think so. He gives me... You can make an easy comparison to Giga Kick. I feel Giga Kick is almost like the horse where if he's racing in a better quality race, then he'll produce a better quality figure. That might just sound like bizarre, but I feel like if you put Giga Kick back in a listed race or something like that, he'd still win convincingly, but he probably wouldn't win as well as what he would if the pressure was higher in the Group 1 race. So I think the really good horses, they just win where they go and they run to the rating in which they're required to win that race, if that makes sense.
Well, think about it's proven that as well. Like he was winning by half a length in these benchmark 78s.
Yeah.
And he's winning by 2 lengths in these Group 1s. Like,
yeah.
I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
Performance of the winter, or the winter last few months. What's the one that's really taken your eye?
Think about it, goes without saying. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal, and he'll feature in all the big races, like you said. Again, I'm going to go a little bit left field, but how fucking good of a horse is Rothfire,
mate? He's
I just
war horse.
Yeah, I just take my hat off to him, and just the respect I have for that horse. Like I said on the podcast a little while ago, I was like, it's such a shame he had that injury because of what could have been. Like the fact that he's still this good and basically nearly had his racing career ended. Like he could have been put down, mate. Like, and to run second as the toppy out of barrier 23 with Hot Nash on in the Stradbroke, like he's such a good horse. And I don't know whether he'll jag another Group 1 ever again, but he doesn't need to. He's still winning Group 2s and Group 3s. He's spinning some cash. I think his second in the Stradbroke for me was the performance of the winter, like in that regard, like the heartfelt regard. But in terms of dominant and what I'm most excited about, I'd say is probably Kovalika. Yeah.
To do that, week back up from versus the older horses, running third, foot abscess, and then put him away by 6. Yeah. No, there's fair to say there's an upside there.
There's upside there for sure,
mate. For me, wasn't even Group 1. It was Group 2 in the Q22 without a fight. That was the 2 runs that this thing has had in Brisbane have been simply sensational. Like I cannot wait. It's almost like the horse that we've been crying out for over that middle to staying distance. I'm more thinking a Caulfield Cup type of horse. He's the most exciting prospect since an Incentivise.
Yeah. Just when we needed it too, Anamo's obviously retired. Thunderstruck, unfortunately, no longer with us. Alligator Blood is suspect over the longer distances, even though he's got a Group 1 over 1,800 metres. And then Mr. Brightside, I'd love to see him stretch out to a 2,000 metre Cox Plate in the spring, which I think he will be. But he's a miler for mine, from what we've seen so far.
Best miler in the country.
Yeah. From that 2,000 metre to 2,400 metre mark, the stocks are thin. So just when we needed it, mate. And that's what I mean. Like, you look at the futures markets and you talk about like predictions and all that sort of stuff, and people say, oh, weight for age ranks are going to be thin, so on and so forth. There's always things that just jump out of the ground. You know what I mean? There's always a good horse that turns up. Like people, if you could have been concerned about Eduardo and Nature Strip getting to the end of their career as sprinters, and you're like, oh shit, what's around the corner? It's just like, well, Giga Kick and I Wish I Win are around the corner, mate. Like in secrets around the corner.
Yep.
There's constantly good horses coming through. So, he's an import, but there's been plenty of imports come to this country and been terrific, i.e. Zaki in recent times. So, without a fight, brilliant.
Absolutely.
Well, so well said by you, mate. Fuck.
What about on the other hand? What's a horse that's really disappointed you that, you've...
everything I've backed that hasn't won?
that you're left on red?
That's tough to say, actually, off the top of my head. But Zaki was incredibly disappointing in the Doom and Cup. Tannhauser really disappointed me in the JJ because he was probably the horse I was most confident in winning a race. I had the same level of confidence. I was a few beers deep at the time, but the same level of confidence him winning the JJ as I did Incentivise winning the Caulfield Cup. I was incredibly confident that he was going to win that race. Ran a really nice third. That was really disappointing to me. That certainly took the wind out of my sails after the Selena victory. What about you?
Pavitra for me. So she might be a prep away. I'm hoping she is. But the good news is we're going to get a price about her, out to those 2,000 metre races. But, as a 4-year-old, I don't know if the races are necessarily going to be there for her anymore. She had her opportunity in the Vinery and the Oaks, and she just kind of failed. She ran into a pretty smart one in Prowess.
I'm excited for her.
But I think, she was just not living up to the expectations that I had. So I'm a little bit disappointed there.
Yeah. I think that the Godolphin duo that came up for the Winter Carnival, Afcabin and Valana, they were disappointing.
Yeah, Afcabin, I've kind of been off him basically the entire preparation. I was forced to back him in that bloody Randwick Guineas or the whatever it was.
Who got scratched? That's right.
Yeah.
Probably would have won that race, wouldn't he?
he would have.
Well, that's another one. He's another one. Wait for age. He's got to probably find another length or two, but he's with the right camp.
These 3-year-olds are good, mate. All right, so talking of ones that have to go to another level, what's a horse that you can't wait to see in the spring?
There's two key ones for mine. Millie, obviously, Amelia's Jewel. I cannot wait to see her over 2,000 metres. I think that's going to be her distance. I think she's brilliant enough to, a proper Beal, brilliant enough to beat up on a field over 1,200 metres. I don't think she's ever going to be capable of winning an Everest. She could put away a Group 2 field in a sprint, but I don't think she's a Group 1 sprinting horse, even though she nearly won a Quokka, which I think was probably a Group 1 quality. 1,600 to 2,000 metres for me. She could be the best horse in the country by the end of the year. And Prowess, who you just mentioned, I cannot wait to see her. She's just got something special. The Kiwis, Legato as well.
Well, Legato was on my list, but because she'll probably be heading towards something like, a Cox plate or something, and probably prowess as well, which is incredibly exciting. Like you don't see the fillies beat the boys all that often, especially in those guineas. So that's incredibly exciting. Giga Kick, like we keep
what
going.
could he be?
Like he's all grown up now. Like
he's a big boy.
He's graduated from high school. And he's almost like that high school athlete that has been drafted by the Brisbane Broncos, and it's like, oh god, this guy's gonna play Origin for 10 years. He has no nuts, and he's really fast, and he's versatile. He's got a play, mate. He's a good playmaker. So I just want to see him just be that dominant sprinter. He doesn't have to win every race.
No, he's not Black Caviar.
No.
He's not Winks. But yeah, I think the prep he's just had, you want to see him replicate that.
Absolutely.
Like a great third coming back, nearly won a TJ when his wheels were spinning and he got knocked around the run, and then 2 dominant wins. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if first up, maybe over 1,000 metres, he ran a nice second or third. You know?
Well, he as we mentioned earlier in, at the time, you can't actually run quicker than what he did that day.
No.
And he had a jetpack on his back. The other one is, as you mentioned, Kovalika, outside of, all the other ones that I've already mentioned. Like, what I really, really hope that they do with this horse is steer clear from the Golden Eagle. Don't go there. Please don't go there, because your Giga Kick, your Amelia's Jewel, all these other fantastic 4-year-olds at the time will go head in that direction. There's a Caulfield Cup. There's a Cox plate waiting for this horse, and he's going to be ultra competitive. Like, I think it would just be a waste. We've seen it so many times that they go for this amazing prize money, but I think a horse like him, he needs to get out in distance. Please steer clear, please.
Yeah, no, I agree. 2,000 metres, 2,400 is his deal. The Kiwis, mate. Like I said about Probabile, could win over 1,200 all the way up to 1,600, 2,000. I think, like Amelia's Jewel, brilliant enough to do that. But Prowess, I think, could probably be that sort of horse too. So, and then the 3-year-olds, well, they will be 3-year-olds. Shinzo, militarised, can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. Should we get to some horse racing?
Yes.
Last 3 races that we'll preview this season.
Let's
start with the Ipswich Cup. One of my favourite races. Don't think I've ever backed a winner, but in recent years, I don't think there's been the likes of a Numerian heading to an Ipswich Cup. I think an incentivised did race on Ipswich Cup Day, but it wasn't necessarily in the Ipswich Cup a few years ago. But Numerian probably heads this field out in front with the likes of Cedar Power, Waipiti, and Desert Icon finding the speed as well. Are you keen to back Desert Icon here on the quick backup?
No.
61 kilos, barrier 9, sticky draw.
Yeah, no, I'm looking elsewhere away from Numerian and the likes of. I'm going down to a David Van Dyke horse, number 13 sneak preview. Because for me, this is a gross race. And what do we say about gross races? Try and find some juice.
Yep.
So this guy has been in pretty good form this prep. Ran third last start. First, the start before that. Up in Rocky in the Amateurs Cup. Ran a nice second. So he's just a horse who's hard fit, down in the weights, who should get a nice run just behind the speed. So, and look, am I awfully confident? No. But he's going to get a good deck, and he's got a terrific record on a good deck. And these old geldings in form, you just at that price, they just keep finding a way. And Dave Van Dyke knows what he's doing, mate.
Yes, mate. Yes, he does. There's 3 that I might have a little spec on the day. I think they're over the odds because I am also keen to take on Numerian. I think his best runs have been when he's had a 4 to 5 week break. So I don't think he's suited on the week back up here. The first one is Dark Destroyer. So, sorry, Siri is just listening to me right now. Anyway, the first one is Dark Destroyer. This horse is a 2,000 meter horse all over. I've been really puzzled by the preparation so far. So I'm keen to see him out to the 2,150 meters, a time-honored distance. But the week back up, I don't mind because it was virtually a trial last week.
Yeah, I think he needs some slosh underneath him, to be honest. But yeah, I agree. His prep's been puzzling, to say the least. Yeah, I had a look at Dark Destroyer as well, but decided to steer clear. So you're backing him, and is there another horse that you're keen on?
I've got two others.
Well, there is another horse that I'm also keen on.
Okay.
Number 12, Russo.
Oh, he was a friend of mine once upon a time.
He was. Mate, this guy, do you know what he reeks of? He reeks of Chris Waller. This thing's been doing nothing but get him to a regional track like this with down in the weights, win. Like, he reeks of that. Yeah. So he's $20 with Neds. I forgot to mention him before. Sorry, mate. But they're my two.
We were rotating about 3 horses this time last year. It was Marzu into Crystal Pegasus into Russo. So he needs to regain his form because the last 12 months he's had 11 runs for 1/3.
Dog shit.
But
dip.
I appreciate your So this is the type of race it is, Drifters. We're backing 5 different horses in the race.
Yep.
The shortest of mine is number 4, Berdebeck, for the very simple reason that he ran within 2.5 lengths of without a fight. I think that type of form looks pretty bloody good. I actually tipped him in this race last year at about 12-1, and I reckon he might run a really nice 5th again. But the other one who's an enormous price, who I had tipped previously, is number 8, Regal Lion. This horse, a horse that has a turn of foot like this thing, I'm always going to have a little something on. Like, his win at Sandown earlier this year was simply breathtaking at a very similar price, no less. So I could see him. He needs all the ground he can get. Blinkers again. Benny Thompson in the saddle. Barry 10. He'll be near last, but similar sorts to Salino. Benny, get him going at the 600, mate, and you might be on the winning pony. So yeah, tough. The race 8 is the Eyeliner Stakes, 1,350 metres. Pretty sure tipped out Holyfield on the race on the podcast last year, so he's looking to go back to back. This was an arrogant win by him. He's definitely not going as good this year. This is an extremely tough race. I thought number 12, Blazer Trail, was worth a bet. Should be pretty close to the speed in this race. Was only less than a length off Antino last start. A form reference like that looks pretty bloody good.
100%, yeah. I think Blazer Trail is probably my on top of you as well. Interestingly enough, Cepheus comes back from 2,000 metres over effectively a sprint distance. So I found it very interesting. His trainer, whose name escapes me at the moment, Brody Loy, said he'd be there when the whips are cracking over. Oh, that's the jock, sorry. Matthew Dunn, the trainer, sorry. One of the great bloopers. He said that this horse will be there when the whips are cracking. I've been following him pretty much the entire prep. So he's $6.50, which is way too short.
And why are you backing him? Would you be physically ill after the race if you won?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So they're the two for me, Blazer Trail and Cepheus.
If I was to include another one in the quaddie, it would be number 4, Gravina. This was the Godolphin horse that Opal Ridge just gave absolute windburn to at Gosford. Scone, sorry. So, he was next best, you might say. But, yeah, he's probably next in line for me at around the $7.50.
Yep.
The Gay Waterhouse for the Fillies and Mares, another listed race to end the program in Queensland, leading the charge. 1,200 metres listed. In terms of a speed map here, God, it's anyone's guess for mine.
Oh, I've backed half these without a lot of success. I've backed Snapped last start at 1, actually, so there's some success there. I've backed Hellfest with not a lot of success this prep.
One last time?
I think so. Well, she's 20s, so Hellfest for me. look, draws an absolute car park, but we'll wait and see. I am keen on Snapped as well. So probably a little 2-horse play for me. But, yeah, it's just one of those races, mate, where they all just take turns in winning, don't they? Really frustrating. Actually, there is a horse, a Jack Bruce horse in this race, number 20, We Go Bam, which I think actually raced today. So I'm sure it'll be scratched for the weekend. But, yeah, just keep an eye on how little We Go Bam goes.
Okay. Russian Conquest for me. Interesting, since I had about 3 of my on-sold selections a few weeks ago scratched after we put out this podcast, which is always great.
Yeah.
But Russian Conquest was one of those ones. And since then, she's actually gone back to Sydney for a trial. Now she's back up to Queensland show. So she might be a filly, and it doesn't really surprise me if it's the case. That might just have a bit of a think about it. Because she's been awfully out of form since her 2-year-old year, and she's a late season 3-year-old now. $8 for someone like her, 54 kilos, barrier 3. You know, if the what am I trying to say? If the gaps do come, she could be in the finish. Like, I look at that form around Yellow Brick, Soothsayer. They kind of franked the form again, running 2nd and 3rd behind Red Denier on the weekend. So I think a filly like Russian Conquest is the way I'm heading here.
Lovely. A few choices there for you, drifters.
Yeah. And if you know what, if none of them land, we've done our job. We've done our job this winter.
Yeah, mate. We've been phenomenal this winter, collectively.
Oh, mate, I reckon this is the best that this partnership's ever been.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look, it's been terrific. Yeah, just looking back through the card on Saturday, like, just couldn't miss, like, collectively.
I think there was one race, was it the Kappa race?
Yeah, the King Kappa race, yeah.
Well, that was the one that we had a bit of a duck egg in.
So I don't know what else you could possibly want from us, drifters, because if you listen to this podcast for tips, then we've got them, and if you're listening for banter, we've got it. So,
yep. And there was some boys at the track, right? And we're putting some bets on for the round the grounds, right? And they came up to me like, "Oh, shoot it! What do you reckon the Brisbane Cup?" I was like, "Boys, the Ali Abir." They're like, "Oh, what do you reckon about that thing?" I was like, "Don't back that. Don't back that." The stable mail is that it will run very well, but boys, what you want in a 2-mile race is a 2-mile horse. Now, there's 2 horses that Declan and I like in this race, and I said on the day, my confidence is dwindling with Long Arm. Luckily, I jumped on Celino as well. I was like, you know what, Celino's the pony, boys. Celino, Declan reckons this thing's just a sensational bet. Owner's really keen. You know, never trust an owner's tips, but if he's not winning the race, he's run 2nd. You know, and they filled their pockets as well.
Oh, we were handing out the mail left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that rolls into spring. Spring's a bit trickier, I'd say.
Yeah, but you know, when your form's this good, how could you possibly lose?
You just got to ride that wave all the way into the shore. You can't jump off the wave. You have to ride it.
Yeah.
Because, you'll get dumped eventually. It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, goodbye.
See ya.